What up, YouTube? How's it going? This is another Pretty Boy Bat Rep, and this is Game 3 of Brawler Bash. This is Benjamin Nelson, who is my Round 3 opponent. We've obviously played several times before. We actually played in the last tournament at Battlecry. Ironically, Game 3 also. So, great guy. Really looking forward to this one. However, his list is... I thought it was good last time. It was even filthier this time around. We'll go over it once we get into it. Definitely was not trying to get a game in with him because I think it's a bad matchup for me. So this is an overview. We have a refused flank. I think my mission this game was just to keep my BSB alive, and I think like once during the game I can make one of his units like -1 discipline. Something like that. Didn't really factor too much into it. Anyway, so on the left, on his side, you can see he's got 5 Dark Raiders. He's got a unit of Spearmen. He has a BSB on a Manticore with a great weapon. He's pretty tanky. He's not as offensive. He's got a Kraken in the water. He's got a unit of Dread Knights. I think they have the Banner of Blood. And then kind of in the middle there, it's a little hard to see, but you can kind of see the wings there. He's got a Captain on a Pegasus with the Midnight Cloak and a Lance, so he does like multiple wounds D3 on the charge and stuff like that. He's a unit of Corsairs with hand bows. And they have Vanguard because the guy in the... Pegasus is Fleetmaster, so they've already vanguarded up. He has his general hiding in the woods on a dragon. That guy is super nasty. He has Hatred with the great weapon, and he also has Blessed Inscription, so he's rerolling to hit, rerolling the wound with divine attacks at strength 6, AP 3. And then he's got a big unit of Executioners and another unit of Dark Raiders. Now, he had Vanguard on the Corsairs, he has Vanguard on the Dark Raiders. He took the ability to allow him to Vanguard with either a core unit or one of his characters, and I really didn't want him to do that. I was worried he would actually do it with one of the flying characters, because then, because he dropped everything to take first, so if he Vanguards and then flies over my lines, I'm really screwed. So I tried to use my Lucky Day card to negate his special ability, and I didn't know you could do this, but he used his Lucky Day to cancel out my Lucky Day. So we took a minute to try to figure that out, but it was legal. But he didn't choose one of the flying characters, which I thought he would do. He actually Vanguarded his Spears up as one of his core units. So anyway, that's why they're so far up before the game started. For me, I've got 2 Giants on that left flank. Got my big unit of Feral Orcs, the Ed Bashers. I got paired weapons and the Rending Banner. I scouted my spiders, but I kind of made a mistake. I put them like this, but now they're too tight, and I have to remember this for this deployment, because they're not really... I should have just deployed them normally. There's not really a lot of room to scout them. At least on my side, I would have had to put them like in the corner on his side, and then Vanguard them up. That probably would have been the smarter thing to do. But because the way I have them, I can't really Vanguard them out from behind that building until I move stuff back, because even though they're light troops, they technically just can't like make the turn. But anyway, that's where they are. So that was my fault in deployment. In the center behind the building, I got my bunker of cave goblins behind them. In the center, I have my Feral Orc on my Wyvern. Scrap Wagon all the way back, staying out of trouble Iron Orcs to the right of the building with my general in it. And then I have my Wolf Chariots, behind them more Spiders. I got Pac-Man, and then the last Giant all the way on the right. So this is his first turn movement. He's moving up pretty aggressively. The Dragon is moving over out of the woods to threaten my Iron Orcs, and his Pegasus moved out of the Corsairs behind the building, which I later forgot about. Um, and then his executioners move up. His Hydra, I totally forgot he had a Hydra over here. He moves his Hydra up, and he's moved his Dark Raiders aggressively to chaff my Wolf Chariots and my Ironworks, which is smart because not only is it Brawlers, but he knows that I probably just want to throw my Wolf Chariots into his Executioners just to soften them up. I don't care if I lose the Chariots. The odd thing about this list is he doesn't have magic, but he really doesn't need it. Very little shooting also, but with the shooting he does have, he does plink a wound off of Pac-Man, which is fine. My turn, I move my Feral. So I'm sorry about that. I move my Feral Orcs back so I can move the spiders up, and I basically chaff his whole left line. And I move the one giant aggressively over to the flank, and then I kind of just shift my other giant up for countercharge. I'm using the building to try to protect my goblin's flank, and I wasn't sure what to do with the wyvern. I kind of wanted to just keep him over here. I ended up deciding, in case he brings his Mana Core BSB in, I can countercharge it. I think that would be worthy to do that. I did make sure with my goblins to try and stay in BSB range of those spiders in case he tries to terror check with his Kraken. It's not a whole lot leadership 6 with the reroll, but it's certainly better than nothing. On the right, I charge the Iron Orcs in to clear the chaff. I move the Wolf Chariots back, and just to keep him out of the range of the flyers. And then I bring my Giant over, the hills blocking him from the Hydra, and I'm chaffing up the Executioners because I definitely don't want them to charge into the Iron Orcs. Pac-Man's just going to have to bite it. And I keep my Spiders back because I have a feeling I might need them as some extra chaff while I deal with his dragon, and the Scrap Wagon comes over to this side. In Magic, I could bring the pain off on the dragon because there's really not much I can do about it. He's going to charge him in. Now, this was the one mistake I made, is in Magic, I was too worried about his BSB. I should have been worried about the guy behind the building, which I think I might have just forgotten about. I put Will-o-the-Wisp 2d6 random movement on his Mana Core so that he can't charge anything. I should have done it on his Captain on the Pegasi. I can deal with his dragon if he charges in alone into my Iron Orcs because I can just feed him a champ, but I can't have both characters going in because then my general's dead and he can just absolutely tear up my unit. So that was my fault there. I was too focused on this side. This is a good Magic phase for me. Since his Mana Core was not going to be able to get into combat, I then Raven's Winged my Feral Orc Warlord over to be more of a threat for the incoming dragon charge. And I put +2 movement with the attributes onto my Feral Orcs. So, lots of magic everywhere. His turn, he's now making sure that he has line of sight around the building, which he does. So, bad play on my part. And then another bad play on my part is you can see that my Wolf Chariots are well out of range of my general's leadership. I'm not used to playing with them, and he decides to charge his dragon into them, even though it's a super far charge. You need like boxcars to make it, just to do a terror check, which is a good move. They flee right off the board because they are terrified, and because they were too close to the spiders also flee through my Scrap Wagon off the board. So his dragon literally just scared 2 of my units right out of this game. Oh, so dumb. In shooting, he picks off a couple Feral Orcs. That's really not that important. But you can see he charged in. He redirected successfully with his dragon. The dragon and the Pegasi captain go into my Iron Orcs, which is terrible. He moves up aggressively with the Hydra, and the Executioners move up to be partially on the hill. In this combat, yeah. It's his turn, so he has to figure out if he wants to declare a challenge. And I think he declared a challenge with his dragon. And I was heavily debating whether to give him the champ or give him my general. The problem is the Thunder Stomp. So I figured he has a really good chance of killing my general with the dragon. Pretty much it would almost be, I could just pick up the model. He wouldn't have to roll. And I figured if I give him the champion, the dragon can do way more damage to the unit. So I decided to accept the challenge with the champion. With all the attacks that model has, he's only killing one guy, and hope I maybe get lucky. I'll use a shield with my general and be able to take on the Pegasi Lord. As you can see in this picture, it didn't really work out. So yeah, my champ dies horribly. That's to be expected. Now the guy on the Pegasi only has 3 attacks, and so I figured, you know what, I'm gonna use my shield. It wouldn't really matter. He hits me on 3s no matter what, so the parry doesn't mean anything, but it gets me to 1-up armor save, because he only has a lance, so he doesn't have any magical attacks. So even though it's AP3, I'm getting 4-up armor saves. I won't get any ward saves because he's in combat, the Midnight Cloak, I can't steal anything from him. But hey, if I can make 1 or 2 armor saves and he doesn't roll high for the D3, I can survive. Well, he does 3 wounds. He doesn't miss with any of them. He doesn't miss to wound with any of them. And then I fail all of my armor saves. So he didn't even need the D3 wounds. He just punked them. The good news is I am steadfast, even without the bodyguard, because they're flyers, and we stick around. But I whiff, and I don't think I do any wounds to that captain, even with great weapons. So that was a little disappointing. On my turn, he had moved up his Corsairs to chaff my Feral Orcs. I'm going to take them out. I then charged the spears with my 1 giant. He reformed them to change their formation to a wider one, which I'm really surprised by. I'm not sure what he was thinking there. He would have been better off, I think, staying in a bus formation to maintain steadfast, but yeah, I'm not sure what he's going there. Maybe just extra attacks. I make my march test, I think, with the other giant. Or no, I think I failed it, but I just move away from the Dark Raiders over to threaten the spear unit as well. My goblins do a swift freeform to move up to kind of stay in range of BSB and magic with everything, and my spiders move up to chaff. It looks like I'm trying to chaff the Kraken. I'm really not, because he can charge them and easily overrun into my Feral Orcs, but I'm chaffing the Knights, because I'd prefer if he didn't get both units into my Feral Orcs on the counter charge. Over here, I want to help out this combat, so my giant comes into the flank, which is what I had set up before, which is nice. The Warlord on the Wyvern flies over, because I know he's going to have to take some things on over here. My Scrap Wagon totally disregards my orders and spins out of control and just goes up the field, closer to the Hydra. Which is not great, but it could be worse, because if he chooses to charge the Scrap Wagon with the Hydra, it takes the Hydra away for perhaps a turn before I have to deal with him. In Magic, I'm really just focused, I guess, on not letting his BSB get into combat, so I will the Wisp him again, which is good. It saves my Feral Orcs from having to deal with him. And then I do Deceptive Glamour on the Spears. He's still going first, but it makes it easier for me to hit him, harder for him to hit me. And then we go into combat. The Giant and the Iron Orcs do some work. They do 4 wounds to him, but not enough to kill him, obviously. He unloads, he does the breath weapon, he does everything. He crushes a ton of Iron Orcs. The Iron Orcs do manage to kill off his captain on the Pegasus, though, which is good, so some points there. And we hold them up. But obviously they're not going to stay there for very long. So yeah, it's just showing they're holding. Over here, Giant kills a few guys. He only manages to poke 1 wound through on me, but he's steadfast and he holds. And the Feral Orcs destroy the Corsairs. Nothing shocking there. And then it's Dread Elf's turn. So the Hydra decides to take the easy 90 points, charges the Scrap Wagon, which is fine by me. Executioners come to the flank of the Giant. Goodbye, Giant. He's going to kill him before I even get a chance to finish off his dragon, which is the sad part. Now over here, I will take a second to explain this. So he charges Kraken into the spiders, which is a good move no matter what, because a terror checks them, and even if I hold, he has the chance to overrun into my Feral Works, if he so chooses. Now, I failed my first terror check, and when we had measured it out, I was technically out of BSB range, but in my turn, I had basically said out loud, okay, I'm going to move these guys, make sure I'm in BSB range in case you want to terror check them. And I measured it out, and they were in range at the time that I moved them. So I don't know if like models got bumped or shifted by accident or what happened, but when we did measure it, I was just out. So this is a credit to Ben's sportsmanship that he allowed me to get the reroll, and I made it on the reroll, so they passed their terror check. But that was very gentlemanly of him to do that because he really didn't have to. But anyway, so that's that. The Kraken is going to charge in and try to clear out that chaff. He repositions the Knights. He tries to get the BSB into the Feral Works, but falls just short on his random movement. So then he chaffs the Feral Works up with the Dark Raiders. Okay, so that was about it for movement into combat. The spiders actually sneak through a wound with their poison. The riders have poison now too, so it's a lot of poison attacks come back. And he can't stomp me, so he's only got 4 attacks. So he kills 2. He does win combat, but I actually hold. I roll like I think Snake Eyes or something. I roll really low, and they hold him up, which is pretty impressive for those chaff. Over here, yeah, the inevitable happens. My giant gets crushed. The last few Iron Orcs get killed. That's a lot of points for him. And now my green dragon has to be a hero. Let's see. Let's just. Oh, this is the overrun. His executioners go really far, but not quite far enough to get into my wyvern. The Hydra kills the scrap wagon. My giant breaks the spears. They were steadfast, but with fear, they're only leadership 7. I think they did have a reroll, possibly, but they fail it. I decide to restrain, because I think I'm going to need the giant to kill off this Kraken and set it up to overrun into the Knights. So I let him go. And then that's what I do, is I charge the chaff. I charge the one giant into the flank of the Kraken with the intention of, if I can kill him, I can overrun and hit those Knights in the flank. My other giant decides to charge the spears. They have to flee. And then I think I tried to test a redirect back into the Kraken, maybe, if that was possible. Either way, he ends up pursuing the spears and does not catch them. Over here, the big fella into the dragon. Dragon on dragon fight. The only way that I'm really going to have a shot at this is I have the Potion of Speed. So that plus the charge gives me enough agility that I'll be fighting at simultaneously with this character. So we'll see if that works. I should have reformed the goblins again. This building has been at least handy for me to keep them protected, to get away from his BSB mana core. And now his executioners are kind of high and dry. They're not really facing anything. In Magic, I could bring the paint off the dragon just to make sure I don't whiff. And then the combat in the center, I only do, I think... Oh, I'm sorry. So I do get a spell off on the Kraken. Sorry, I get the wheel turns off on the Kraken, just to make him harder to deal damage to me, because he can eat my giant really easily with those multi-wounds D3. Feral Orcs kill the Dark Raiders. The giant does 3 wounds to the Kraken, so he's got 1 wound left, not quite enough to kill him. He does like 4 wounds to me, to my giant, kills a couple spiders, something like that. This might be a couple rounds of combat, but we're still there, unfortunately. Yeah, this is on his turn. So this is 2 rounds of combat now. So his Kraken's still alive, my giant's still alive. We're kind of just whiffing over here. A few spiders are left. He charges his Dread Knights in on a counter charge. I just pop my Rending Banner and poof, go the Dread Knights. So I just turn them to face this way because he moved his mana core over to the other side. I know that the pictures are kind of a little like out of place now, but I think it was just getting towards the end of the game and things were getting pretty simple. This giant eventually catches those fleeing spears and just turns to face. So picked up those points, which is nice. So at this point, I basically have the left flank. He's got the right. I just got to kill off the Kraken. In the center, you can see there are no dragons left. We killed each other gloriously in simultaneous combat. I easily finished off the last 2 wounds. He has rerolls to hit and to wound, so he didn't fail with any of his 4 attacks. And they're divine, so I couldn't make the 5-up ward save to keep my guy alive. So it's still worth it. His dragon's worth way more than mine, but I did lose the wyvern in the process. But hey. Yeah. And I know that the dead pile's just piling up over there. His executioners are now like just trying to go after my goblins. Same with the Hydra. I get a spell off Deceptive Glamour on the Kraken, trying to finish this guy off, and I get the random movement on the Hydra to slow him down, and then I do -2 movement on the Executioners for the same reason. I finally finish off the Kraken, which is nice. Get all those points. I'm running away with my goblins. He's trying to chase me. He's moving everything over here. Let's see. I march my guys up, trying to keep them far away. I'm setting up counter charges if he's going to try to go after my goblins. I get random movement on the Hydra again, slow down the Mana Core a little bit. So the only like really makeable charge he has is with the Mana Core. I flee to get away. So he does fail that charge. He does end up getting half points for the goblins and my 2 characters, but at the end of the day, I get my 800 bonus victory points because he did not kill my BSB. So, and that's the last picture. Pretty bloody game. Definitely had some ups and downs, but it did end up being an Orc and Goblin victory. Killing that dragon was a huge turn in points for me. I picked up like 1,000 points on that, maybe a little more. And then obviously keeping my BSB alive gave me an extra 800 victory points. That was really helpful. It seems like he killed a lot more of my stuff, but the bulk of the points he got were from the Iron Orcs and the General. My Feral Orcs are worth a lot. I had them at the end of the game. He only had half points for my 2 characters in the bunker. My Giants, 2 of them made it through to the end of the game, so I still had some stuff on the board. But pretty close game. A lot of fun. Certainly a bloody game. The dragons were all the difference this game. I mean, his dragon, without even touching them, killed my 1 unit of chaff and my wolf chariots. And without the wolf chariots, I really had no way to deal with his executioners. So he kind of saved that unit. And then he went in, he killed all the Iron Orcs. And by him going in, allowed the other guy to kill my general. And then, if that weren't enough, he killed my Feral Orc as well. So that guy was a badass. Really like that build. I hope he takes him and that list concept to Buckeye Battles, which is our next tournament. And then for me, I think even though he only killed 1 guy, getting that 1,000 points or so from his dragon, being able to take him out, was obviously a game changer in this game. Because his dragon could have easily done other things. Plus, it was just a lot of points. It was cool seeing my dragon take down his dragon. Well, them really take each other out. So that was a lot of fun. As far as what we learned from this game, I think this is a good learning game for me because I made a couple mistakes. The first thing is peek behind buildings, and this goes for not just me, but for all of you out there as well. I think it's something we forget about a lot because we're so hyper focused on our own units, and then things get behind terrain and we forget they're there or don't even see them in the first place. And I think I just forgot about that guy. Letting those 2 flyers charge into Iron Orcs was a bad move. I should have put the random movement on the Pegasus. But anyway, I'll know for the next time. Just to remind myself of that. Leadership bubble is very important, especially for Orcs and Goblins. Typically, my list is pretty resilient or resistant, I guess, to the Orc and Goblin weakness of leadership because I have a lot of things that are immune to panic. But having just the extra wolf chariots in this particular tournament, which I'm not used to, threw me off this game. I totally forgot to make sure that they were in range of my general. And because they weren't, they were terror check beat, which is a ploy I pull all the time. So I'm kicking myself that I forgot about that. So maintain the leadership bubble at all cost. And then I think what saved me in this game, because I didn't play well in the beginning, um, I think what helped me salvage the game was that I was very meticulous in terms of counter charges. I knew we were gonna get into combat, and I made sure that even though he was killing all my stuff in the beginning, when he broke through, he wouldn't just be off to the races and be able to go in my backfield and do what he wanted. I had at least some measures to back it up. So I think setting up all those counter charges really helped me. It helped me kill his 2 flyers in the middle. It helped me kill his Kraken, finish off his spears, do stuff like that. So just thinking that one move ahead was very helpful. So that's it for this one. Next video will be round 4, obviously, day 2. At this point, I was kind of middle of the pack at the end of game 2. At the end of this game, I'm a little bit higher. I'm definitely in the top third. So I'm looking for a strong game 4. Now, just to reiterate something I talked about in my last video, we meaning the Green Dragons Gaming Club, we are hosting our first tournament ever, the Dragon's Den 2018. This is going to take place September 8th and 9th. That weekend is a Saturday and Sunday 2-day event, 4,500 points. I'll be playing at the tournament. Mark, Sir MC, aka our group leader, will be the TO. He'll be hosting and organizing the event. The venue is in Phoenixville, Pennsylvania, so it's a suburb outside of Philadelphia. Definitely come play. It'll be really fun. It's pretty much straight out of the book. We might have one minor tweak to things, but nothing too crazy. The store venue is BYOB, has a kitchen on site. There are plenty of places in the area to stay for hotels and go for food, stuff like that. Anyway, there will be more information on the Ninth Age forums. Early signups are already up. I posted them. You can just look for it. It's like Dragon's Den. And it's under the tags for tournaments and Mid-Atlantic GT. And then Mark is going to put the players pack up soon. So if you have any questions or comments, leave them below about that. Hit like, subscribe, do all the YouTube stuff, and I'll see you in the next one.